Afternoon team. Little dog riding shotgun. We just had a bit of a weigh up for some lambs the other day, and we've got some going direct to the abattoirs this afternoon, and yeah, they'll get killed in the morning. So just got the critters on board, just run these in quietly, and I think the truck's going to be, what is it, a bit after midday now, the truck's going to be here this afternoon about 6 o'clock. Yeah, I've had a phone call from the freight guys that have been carting the grain. They're actually going to send out a couple of trucks in a couple of hours and load for load some oats to pick up in the morning, to unload in the morning, so we can actually get the header going today. I'll just see what we do though. I'll be on my own, but that probably won't matter all that much. I could chip away, do it 2 or 3 hours just to keep the wheels turning so we can get it finished. But yeah, it's starting to, it's been warm enough sort of day. But, yeah, little dog's not really on her best behaviour. She's a bit of a white line fever when it comes to the buggy now. So anyway, we'll run these guys in. There's a couple, I crutched a few the other day. There's a couple more here that just need crutching just to clean their backsides up a bit. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. Just run them in under the shade of the shed. These guys are the last of our wethers to sell. They've all been weighed. They average 57 kgs live weight, a bit better. Yeah, so they should, I think the abattoirs are on $7.50 a kilo dressed. So yeah, they should come out at around that $210, $15 hopefully. Yeah, it's about 300 here. So, but yeah, they've done well. Haven't cost us a lot or anything really. They've only just been walking around eating grass, so we haven't had a bit of hay and no grain. So it's, yeah, they're pretty good little productive job, this one. So, but yeah, and then we've got our ewe lambs. We're actually going to bring them home, and so we can crutch them all and yeah, get them ready for sale as well. So yeah, no, they all look good. Well, we got the sheep loaded last night, or yesterday afternoon, and yeah, pressed a bit of loosened hay last night down where we were. Yeah, just ran into the dew came in pretty quickly, so we're probably still learning with the big square baler. As I've said, we're probably baling at the wrong end of the day, truth be known, but given it's been such a wet sort of summer, or spring summer to date, there's still plenty of moisture around the ground, so the dew did come up pretty quickly. Just out back farm here this morning, just going to bring the ewe lambs home. Got the critters on board, even little dog. You stay here, don't you get off, you're not a sheep dog. Yeah, so just this probably didn't really show you much of this, but this is the arrowleaf clover when it goes to seed, and it's still a bit tough. It's a bit hard to see, but if I can hold the camera with my knees, we open that fella up right in the middle there, possibly. There you go. So there's those little dots there. That's the seed. So sort of contemplating. There's quite a bit of it through a few paddocks, so I'm sort of contemplating when we get back. We're going to have a few days away next week. When we get back, whether we just run around with the windrower and just windrow a few patches. Yeah, that's about bugging. Windrow a few patches, and then yeah, run around with the header and pick it up. And essentially we've got free seed. There's a company in Rutherglen that'll grade it for us, which we've done before. So yeah, you know, we pay about $8 a kilo, I think, roughly for it, to buy it through our retailer. So it would be, you know, if you picked up a ton, it's a ton of seed goes a fair way, so it would last a fair while. So look, we have done it before, so we might have a crack at it. And here in spots it's quite thick. So but just by windrowing it just allows it to dry down a bit more, and the green lucerne that's growing up through it just lets it dry down. It'll feed through the headler a bit better. But so these ewe lambs, we're going to have a weigh up tomorrow. Come here. Where there's usually a store sheep sale in the end of January, which I've spoken about before that we target, but apparently they haven't got the numbers this year to have the sale, so we're gonna put them, I think, on online platform which they call Oxen's Plus, so, and try and sell them on there. Don't know how it's gonna go, but anyway, we can put a reserve price on them, and if they don't sell, they don't sell. We're not paying freight to take them to town or anything like that. But yeah, we might battle to get the money. We would through the sale yards. Like we've topped that sale the last 2 years with these lambs. So yeah, I'm just a bit concerned that the money might be quite there going on Oxen's Plus. But anyway, we'll get them sorted up in the next day or two and see how it goes. Spoken a bit in the past about our neighbours, how we've got good neighbours. Another example, we've actually got a closed road that runs through the back of our property out here, and there's a bridge crossing across the Mulwala Canal. We don't do it very often, but yeah, guys, it's basically nearly a straight road to the road we live on at home. So it turns a half a day job into an hour and a half job if we can get them to run across the. We're gonna go now. Yeah, but we've got a key to their gate, and we just tee it up with them the day before and make sure they haven't got stock as well in the paddock, or if we do, we just hunt them away for that little bit of time. But yeah, it's pretty good of them to let us do it. There'd be a lot that wouldn't, but yeah, it's just we all work together and all try and help one another if and when we can, so we all work always pretty well. So we've got the lambs moved home, Brendan's down finishing off the baling, and Tommy's just, we've got a linkage boom there that we've sold because we weren't using it, so he's just there starting to pull the booms off it. One thing I just want to, I suppose, touch on, and it's just part and parcel of farming, I suppose, and livestock farming, and that is casualties. Now this lamb has it started to drop behind the mob. Well, we weren't pushing them, we were only sort of poking along just because it's not hot, but it's warm, and yeah, it sort of just slowly got slower and slower, and yeah, I just picked it up and put it in the buggy with me just to save it walking, and we're only about halfway home, and it's died while it's been in the buggy. So look, it's without doing an autopsy, we'll never know what's happened. It's had its 2 lots of vaccines and a couple of drenches and that sort of stuff. So yeah, but I suppose that's just wanted to touch on that. Like, that's just the downside of farming livestock. While you've got live ones, you're always going to have a percentage of dead ones. Unfortunately, we don't lose a lot because obviously an animal like that doesn't make any money. So we do our utmost to keep everything well fed, all their sort of well, not that we use a lot of medications, but all their vaccinations up to date, and yeah, try and keep them healthy livestock. Generally they do a lot better, they're more productive, so yeah, there's always, the livestock industry is always a bit of a, and look, I don't want to get political on this, but I sort of, the reason I started it was to give the on the ground perspective for people that aren't farming, and yeah, look, livestock, especially cattle, are probably a front and center at the moment with the greenhouse gas job and that sort of thing. So the spotlight's always on us, but people need to understand, if I don't look after my sheep, I don't make any money, like I lose money. So it's in my best interest, in my business best interest, to have healthy livestock, and yeah, have them in good condition and make sure they're always got good feed and good water and that sort of stuff. So I wasn't going to show that, but I can't, yeah, look, I've probably want to show the whole spectrum and not just the good stuff. I've done it before, I've shown a bit of the bad stuff, and that is losing livestock. I don't like doing it. Euthanizing livestock is one of the jobs I absolutely despise doing. I absolutely hate it, but it's just a necessity that we've got to do. So anyway, a bit more positivity. We'll get moving on. Well, what a 48 hours it's been. Not even 36 probably. Yeah, that last clip on the header stripping oats. Yeah, I sort of wasn't feeling real crash hot. Anyway, I got Brendan to come up on the header, and I went home, and yeah, it all went south. Yeah. Whether it was thinking it might have been a bit of food poisoning or something, or gastro, but I don't need to go into the finer details because I'm sure you've been in that position. But yeah, knocked me for 6, and yeah, sort of from 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon I was in bed for 18 hours pretty much. So anyway, and yesterday I sort of had to do a bit in the morning, and look, I was still pretty steady. We had to weigh the ewe lambs. The guys from Nutrien came out and had a weigh up and assessed the lambs for Auctions Plus, which will go up next week. And then sort of had a shower, hopped into bed, and the boys had a breakdown with the header. The retractable fingers inside the RTD, or the little table auger. Yeah, it broke a mechanism in it, which wasn't a big deal. So we so I went down and gave them a hand, and I'm actually started to feel a lot better. Down there a lot it was hot. I was yeah, so no, just let them finish it off then last night. So we'll go down there today and try and get finished down there and get back and finish this canola up here at home. Was meant to start the irrigator yesterday morning, but postponed that with what was going on. So we'll get it fired up now and yeah, go down and service the header. We've finally got it primed up and going. Just the other, if you watched one of the last videos, I was just talking about the sprinklers. So these inside ones right in here at the tower they're only putting a little bit out. Trying not to get too wet. But yeah, so yeah, they just differ in size from here out to the end of it. So we're just putting another 30 mil on here. Lucerne looks quite good. We'll probably cut it late next week, possibly. It's just a little bit of flower starting to turn up. So yeah, it's not far off cutting, but it's been pretty warm the last few days, and I think it's going to be the next few days. Anyway, we'll this one ticked off this morning. We'll go and service the header and get it going. Well, that's another one ticked off. That's the oats done. It's been pretty slow going and pretty painful, but we've got there in the end. So we'll fill a bit of gear up and blow a bit of dust off a couple of things, and then we'll shift home and have a crack at this standing canola and see if we can get it finished up out of the road. So yeah, no, we'll drop this front off and pack up. Well, we're home. Finally got the mothership home. Yeah, we got finished up down on the oats yesterday afternoon. Morning, Kel. And yeah, we got shifted back, and it was pretty hot actually. We're pushing up into the guts of summer now, so it was, you know, high 30s. They're talking 40 degrees here tomorrow. That's Celsius for you guys watching on from overseas. A few just watching a few farm videos the other day, and a few of you guys that have commented it's snowing and pretty cold, so over there. So we're the complete opposite here now, so which is good. So yeah, it's that time of year. No, so you got shifted home. I was wanting to put the Fendt on swap the tractors over, because we've got a bit of baling to do. but the drawbar height on the baler, or sorry, the drawbar height on the Fendt, between the Fendt and the Magnum, are quite different. So we're going to have to adjust the height on the pull on the baler, and it was bloody hot yesterday afternoon, so I just said, oh bugger it, we'd put the Magnum on the chaser bin and yeah, set it up, and then we actually got to and swapped them back over again. So just because it was, yeah, it just wasn't worth mucking around. It was the wrong time of day to be doing it. So Brendan's got here early. He's gone. He's out just trying to get some of that barley straw that I was raking the other day in a bale. I'm just waiting on a phone call about this wheat straw. I'll ring the guy again this morning to see whether they want it. Yeah, so, and if they don't, we've got another option, and the guys might actually come in and bale it themselves. So yeah, the head is nearly finished anyway. We've just got some canola to direct head of our own and a bit of wheat that I think will be still too wet underfoot anyway. So we'll try and get the canola done today. It's going to be a warm one again. But yeah, we might just, while we've got a minute, I'm just going to slip down. I might show you the water outlet and how that works. Yeah, just while I think of it, and just have a look at it. I haven't been up there for a while, so we'll go and have a suss out and see what's going on. I'm feeling a fair bit better today too. A couple of good nights sleep, and yeah, a bit of back eating, which is even better. Yeah, it's a bit of a jungle up here. Don't come up here that often unless there's something wrong. So make sure there's no danger noodles here in the long grass. So what we're looking at here is, so we've got a regulator here that just holds the water up. If there were people irrigating downstream, there'd be a bit of water running through there, but there's not. So these are the flume gates now. I think I can open it. Yeah. So that just tells you, probably won't be able to see that, the current volume, how much the water's been on for. The flow rate's 5.5 megs. Volume's been 4.8 megalitres of water run through it since it's been going. Yeah, and that's just got the time and the date down the bottom there. I don't know whether we can play around with that. I assume it's locked, so it does have a few buttons there, but yeah, and it just runs from here. All that's computer controlled, so we just go on the website, put an order in, depending on demand. Like, I just ordered water yesterday afternoon and I've got it today. If it had been a high demand period, we've got to wait 4 days generally. We're a bit fortunate here because we're at the top end of the system. So generally we get our water, we don't have to order it, you know, in 4 days in advance. And it's pretty rare now, the way the irrigation job is, that we've got there's that high demand. It's a bit of a mess, the irrigation job here in Australia now, especially in sort of the southern basin along the Murray River. We've got full water allocation at the moment, just because obviously the dams are full with all the rain we've had. We should have pretty good water allocation next year. It shouldn't take a lot to keep those dams full, but you know, once they start to get down to 75–60%, the government starts to play funny buggers a bit. Yeah, obviously human consumption comes first, but there's been a lot of water sold off through these areas back to the government for environmental flows. And the environmental, look, without getting political about it, environmental flows seem to take priority over food production. It is what it is. Yeah, what's the old saying, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, something like that. So yeah, the fight's not over yet by any means. So there's a lot of fingers in the pie, which doesn't help. People that don't own land, that own water and purely use it as a trading mechanism to make money. There's a lot of that goes on now. The government, in their wisdom, like people from overseas, can actually come in and buy Australian water, which just seems crazy, and just trade it. So anyway, but there's a lot of misnomers about it too, you know. We can grow whatever we want here, rice, cotton, you know, fruit trees if we wanted to go and plant fruit trees, whatever. And there's irrigation farmers get a lot of heat from the public, and a lot of it's just misinformed. People just don't know what they're talking about. Cotton's obviously one of the big ones here that cops are hiding with its water use, and we should be growing hemp and all the rest of it. It doesn't it's not the crop. It's, yeah, that's what people need to understand. And we can't, if we haven't got a water allocation, like that water is allocated to us by New South Wales Water. Just trying not to get bitten by a snake here while I'm talking to you. Yeah, we don't just, yeah, it's the government that allocates how much water we get to use. So if we don't have a water allocation, we can't grow anything. So, but anyway, we don't want to get too caught up on that, because we could, it's a pretty deep rabbit hole, and the bottoms, it's pretty well bottled, that conversation. So anyway, well, that's where our water comes from anyway. It starts in Dartmouth Dam, comes down to Hume Dam, Lake Mulwala, and then just the Mulwala Canal and little spur channels. And yeah, that's how it all works. But anyway, if you feel like looking at a map, just look at on Lake Mulwala on a map of Australia, and yeah, that's where the irrigation scheme for our area starts. Well, we're into the cleanup. It's not a lot of fun. It's feeding not too bad, but I'm sort of buzzing over the top. It's the standing up stuff's still pretty green, and it is wrapping around this top crossover a bit. So just, I don't know, I'm half thinking of especially stripping the paddock twice, run over the tall stuff, and then turn around and come back again. So yeah, look, there is a little bit of grain here. It is worth probably doing. Like here where it's standing up, we're sort of 2.3, 2.6. I've got, I don't know, half a box full, I suppose, for what I've done. Yeah, so we'll just we'll keep chipping away here. I've actually sent Tommy out to start and stack a bit of that straw up that we pressed up early. Yeah, no point in sitting here twiddling me thumbs. If I get a chase of him before, I can just run it back to the field bin anyway. But yeah, look, a couple of hours here mucking around, and that'll sort of have it beat anyway. Yeah, anyway, we'll just keep chipping away at it. That might nearly do for this one, I reckon. We've got a bit of everything. Yeah, probably been a bit delayed from the last one, purely because I had that bit of a bug, and yeah, we've actually since found out we had a christening at the weekend, and yeah, my niece and nephew were both crook with it, and a couple of their cousins were crook. So it's yeah, it wasn't food poisoning. It was a bit of a bug floating around. But anyway, we're nearly back to 100%. So yeah, anyway, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. And, yeah, take care. Ta-da.